Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Wednesday, March 29th. We are in the middle of the week and inching up on the close of the month, which will be quite significant. Something we didn't really discuss earlier in the week, but this is the last trading week for March. So you'll see some end of month, closing trades. It's not end of the quarter or anything like that. Or actually, we are actually getting towards the end of the quarter. What am I talking about? There's only 3 months in a quarter. So January, February, and March. So we're getting towards the end of the month and we're getting towards the end of the quarter, which is both when you would expect, potentially people to maybe take money off of trades, maybe enter Q2 trades soon. So it definitely makes sense that we're seeing some volatility, and we're clearly seeing it in the dollar. So we're very much unchanged from where we were yesterday. But the moral of the story is, if we can get, cleanly above 102.5 and move up higher, probably bad for risk. If we end up moving lower from here, probably good for risk. So still volatile, no real clear move. Definitely, after, potentially a higher low after this move is maybe a change in market structure. Could definitely move higher. If this does move higher, then we would expect risk to maybe ease off or consolidate or potentially pull back. So very much something to monitor, but DXY, very tricky asset. It definitely looks like it's, kind of positioning to move higher, but it's still just hovering around or support right now, with no, absolute clear indications. So I'm going to keep a continued eye on. If we made it up here and then rejected off of the, the estimated trend moving average and then came down, that would be pretty good. And then, obviously I would prefer us to just start seeping lower, but we all know how these things trade. It's slow, it's cumbersome, but still something we need to monitor. So looking at equities, getting a bit of a boost, heading into the end of the month. We mentioned yesterday, we actually talked about this exact phenomenon is, the close below 39, 60 is what it was. But I did mention that, it depends on the follow through. So we immediately got basically a deviation candle underneath this. And then we moved higher towards 40.10, which is what we talked about being the target yesterday if we did bounce there. So we got that target sitting at resistance right now. Basically need to flip 40.10 to then head higher towards 40.60. If you can't flip 40.10, I would say you're headed back to the VWAP or, the estimated shorter moving average, which also coincides with the previous daily close. So 39.75 is your target if you cannot get above 40.10. If you can get above 40.10, then, 40.60 is your target. So pretty simplistic there. We are at resistance, 1, 2, 3, now 4 taps. Typically after a power of 3, you would expect something to return lower. Obviously was not the case, caught mid-range. Now we're back up. So this definitely looks stronger to me, but, just because, we bucked the third, the power of 3 where we expected it to go down, doesn't mean we can't continue to get caught at resistance. So definitely it, to me, is a better signal of us likely breaking above resistance. But considering we've been stuck here for the past several hours after U.S. markets open, it could, this may just coincide with the PCE print. Remember, we have PCE on Friday morning, which is going to be a big number in relation to how the Fed is, interacting with markets and increasing or decreasing the federal funds rate. And right now it's, they're more likely to increase, but if PCE comes in positively, then maybe they pause, maybe they do one more increase. Right now the market thinks Fed's going to do one more 25 basis point. If that changes, if banking crisis, gets worse, maybe they don't do another 25 basis points. But of course, if inflation continues to rise, they'll definitely do another 25 basis points. So that's, kind of the general context around PCE. But, if you're thinking about it, we have today's session, we have tomorrow's session, and then we'll get Friday, early Friday morning before the US session starts is when PCE data will come in. Therefore, if we're just thinking about timing, maybe we consolidate around here. We drop back one more time. We continue to float, this kind of trend. We drop back here. We bounce here. Then we're back up here, on Thursday. We're consolidating into Friday. And then we either, by the time you're Friday, you're right here. And you're either doing this or doing that based on what PCE is. So very much something to consider there. But again, resistance 40.10. Don't, lose or fail at resistance, back to 39.75, make it through resistance, you're up to 40.60. So looking at Bitcoin, very similar. We've talked about how correlated equities and Bitcoin are. We know 28.6 is resistance. We know 26.6K is supports. If you're not in the Trade the Chain community, I did, win a 100% trade last night, longing the VWAP retouch. I mean, this is pretty much the easiest trade in the book. We talked about this yesterday. Price broke above the range. Price is above the VWAP. Price is above the estimated 200 moving average. It bounces not only on the VWAP, on the estimated 200 moving average, it also bounces at the top of the range. And then you've got a fantastic trade. And basically, long overnight, that was a 5% trade. I was 25x. That was a very good trade for me. So, and I'll tell you what, I didn't catch it right here at 27.1. I entered around 27.3. I'll actually just pull it up right now. This is my trade. So I entered, 27.340. Closed, around 28.4. So beautiful trade overnight last night. That's how we do it. We talked about this trade on this show yesterday. So, if you're not in the Trade the Chain community, you're not watching this show, you're missing out on this alpha. So, right now, what I would expect is we're outside of this little VWAP cloud. We'll probably, end up trading back into it at some point. Let me get this trading back into it. So maybe we do something like that. Or maybe we just start, do something like this and then maybe back up, or, maybe we come back down, maybe we return here all the way through Thursday and then we head back up, on Friday and into the weekend on a good PCE print. So Bitcoin is very tough, but right now the moral of the story is basically your support level for this is kind of 28.1. If you lose 28.1, you're definitely headed back down to the VWAP and estimated 200 moving average, which is about, 27.5, 27.3. If you lose that, then you're back down in the bottom of the range, which is 26.6. And of course, if you lose that, we talked about that yesterday. And I would encourage everyone to go watch yesterday's show for more information on that. So in my opinion, I think, if we don't catch here, we're definitely going to, maybe see a little bit of some strength down here. But again, very similar to what we talked about with equities is, we could just, continue to range around here, maybe drop a little bit, but stay kind of in the top half of the range until PZE comes in. So maybe we drip down to, 27.5, then we're back up here, and then we're kind of seeping a little bit lower, heading into PCE. So basically, I'm going to say that we're just going to see some ugly volatility around resistance going into PCE. That's basically my opinion now. So I'm not really shorting. I'm just looking for more opportunities to long because I am still bullish on Bitcoin for the time being until we break through, unless we break through 26.6. So looking at Ethereum, very similar, just didn't make it all the way up to, resistance, but we did break it above the 1800, 1795 level that we discussed yesterday. So now it's possibly working on a deviation. So price is right around here when it opened. We said if you can hold 1810, move higher. If you lose 1810, you're definitely back to 1795. That, of course, occurred. Lose 1795, you're back down to the VWAP or the estimated 200 moving average, also right around the previous daily close, which is around 1770. So lose this level, you're likely to see 1770. And, of course, we need to stay above 1700 for the bullish trend to continue. I think you would probably see some good catch around 1760, 1770. But of course, just like with Bitcoin, if you do break through that, you're back down to the recent lows. So just to go ahead and look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, we did break above yesterday for several hours, but we deviated back lower. So definitely a cause for concern if you think that, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for that noise, everybody. I just hit my mic. So apologies about that. But if you're long alts and you're thinking that this is basically gonna break back above this level and do something like this, which is very, look at this movement yesterday. I mean, that's a very tough movement to trade. And obviously, if you were longing on the break, that's why I always wait for the retest. Wait for the retest and then see some strength, then you can go long. Because obviously there was no strength here following the move up to resistance. So we're still making technically, higher lows, in this little level, but we need to see follow through. So if you are getting long alts, I think you are still a little early, but you might not be too early. Maybe you've got the right amount of contrarian ideas to then start taking alts. But in my opinion, focus on Bitcoin now until you see this break above the trend line. Once we see this break above the trend line, then we can say that alts are starting to look a little bit better than Bitcoin. So back to Ethereum, moral of the story is break through the current support level. You're probably going to see, at least the VWAP or the estimated 200 moving average. And if you can stay above the current level, then you've still got some gusto to head back up to 1850, provided Bitcoin and equities behave themselves. So remember, we are at resistance. Remember, PCE comes in on Friday. And remember, markets are typically, pretty ugly volatility heading into these data points. And we did just get a boost today. So I am not shorting, but I do recognize that I would like to long from a little bit lower, and that'll kind of be my goal for the rest of the day. So again, if you're not in the Trade the Chain community, you are quite literally missing out on free trade, or not free because you're paying for the service, but you're missing out on trade calls, trade ideas, market momentum, and where our biases across DXY, equities, Bitcoin, and Ethereum every single morning, and a lot of times on the weekends, and we always follow it up in the afternoon and the evening. So literally, if you want to know how to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum and how we're doing it every single day, Trade the Chain is the community that you need to be in, because, of course, if you are just listening to these shows, we are talking about what the next 12 to 24 hours may look like, but we're also recapping the beautiful trades that happened all morning, because all of the juicy information, all of the juicy trading comes in at U.S. market open and daily close. So, if you time your trades and your analysis to that and follow what we're doing, you'll probably be a lot better for it, although there is never any guarantee. So good luck. Happy trading. See everybody same time, same place tomorrow.